This really is quite a controversial one and an area that has been a bit of a battleground for some time, probably decades, with, on the face of it, absolutely no movement from the UK government. And I'd seen a number of headlines in the press pop up on this from time to time, but it was really in the comments that I could see how angry people were about it. And I had a brief idea of what the rules were, but I wanted to dig a bit further to attempt to understand why it is that the UK state pension doesn't increase for those that move to certain countries and for others it does. As a reminder, the basis of this is that if you move to live in another country, then you will receive the state pension entitlement that you've built up, whether that's 10 or 35 qualifying years or the old basic state pension. So that bit is good and nice. However, the sticking point here is that there are only certain countries where if you live, you get the increase. The list of the countries where you would receive the increase is the EEA countries and Switzerland, and I'll pop the list up on the screen. Then there are the countries that the UK has a social security agreement with, meaning an agreement that is meant to protect the social security rights of individuals moving between countries, also known as bilateral or reciprocal agreements, which, to be fair, is nice. Imagine you've been working in the UK, then you move to Canada, but you end up in a position where requiring social security or some form of benefit. Then, in that case, it is available to you. The list of countries with an agreement in place is as follows and can be found on the gov.uk website, the link down below. All of these you are good to go and live in and receive your state pension and get the increases. But this is when it starts to get a bit odd. You're fine should you choose, say, Serbia or Kosovo, but choose Canada or New Zealand and it's a no to the increase. Although both of these countries have social security agreements in place, you'll not receive state pension increases if you live in them, which seems rather odd and cannot be by accident. There must have been a discussion, a written agreement put into place between the two countries, but when it came to increases in the state pension, the UK went, no thanks. We aren't talking about pocket change here. Let's take a typical retiree. The average payout from the state pension is about £8,000 per year. It varies enormously, but let's take 8,000 as our base level. If they retired at age 67 and lived to the average for a male, which according to our friends at the ONS is 85. As you can see on my spreadsheet, we increase this every year at 2.5%, which is the triple lock minimum. On the left here is the total paid out in state pension payments versus the level on the right hand side, which is of course the same each year. Then the loss to the individual is approximately £40,000 over that whole period. Clearly this gets worse the longer someone lives, or if the rate of increase is higher. As on my second spreadsheet at 3.5%, it's just under £60,000. This is the impact of the increases compounding each year and every year on the previous increases. Then if we take how many people are in receipt of a state pension that is frozen, which is 492,000, which, no guessing where the majority of these individuals live, 84% to be precise, in Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Two of those countries that we happen to have a social security agreement in place, but yet no increases. And the other, Australia, no agreement and no increases. This is very back of the napkin stuff, but let's take the difference per person as £35,000, then multiply that across £492,000, and we get a very, very big number, approximately £20 billion, just to give a sense of the scale. On a per year basis, the estimate from the government was approximately £600 million, and so we might be getting somewhere as far as why we are where we are. And someone linked a great article in the comments and apologised as I tried to find the comment, but thank you. It was basically the Canadian government criticising the UK for not honouring the increases. It seemed that back in 1977, when the negotiations were being made on whether increases should be applied or not, the UK finances were a bit stretched and the UK decided against it. Subsequently, this has been brought to the table multiple times with little success as far as a seemingly unwillingness to agree to apply the increases by the UK government. It makes for interesting reading in terms of the history of this, and I'll link the report down below. In essence, there was a historical reason for this, but then very simply the government has decided to never amend this. The comment from Canada's government was as follows: to date, UK officials have not engaged on this issue. As it has done in the past, the government of Canada will continue to raise this issue with the UK through various channels where appropriate. As with any country, there would be a benefit to having retirees in that country that, quite frankly, are getting higher levels of income each year. There's a number of different obvious reasons why a country would want that. They would actually want to see the retirees in a comfortable position. And interestingly, the Australian government is stating something very similar. Quite simply, from all of the accounts I've read, the government is not willing to move on this at all and will simply not budge. And according to the report, it seems the UK is the only country in the OECD that pays its retirees different amounts according to where they end up living. Quite honestly, and I hate using this word, but yes, it does seem unfair. If you've built up through paying national insurance contributions a right to the UK state pension, then where you subsequently choose to live when in receipt of it should have no bearing on whether you receive the increases or not. I think this was most brutally put in this comment from the UK government at parliamentary questions in January of this year, and quite frankly, in truth, highlights really, this has nothing to do with legality, but it has simply, and as bluntly as the government has put it, it's about money. And I quote, "The UK state pension is payable worldwide to those who meet the qualifying conditions. It is uprated where recipients are living in countries where there is a reciprocal agreement that provides for uprating. The government has no plans to change the policy on uprating UK state pension overseas. The policy is long-standing and has been supported by successive governments for over 70 years. The government understands that people move abroad for many reasons and that this can have an impact on their finances. However, the decision to move abroad remains a personal choice. Advice that the UK state pension is not uprated overseas except where there is a legal requirement has been provided to the public for many years. Information is provided in leaflets and on gov.uk."